A warm, actually a chilly welcome back to Alma, Missouri for episode 9 with me, MrSealyp. It's December 2. We are in the depths of winter. Because I've got seasonal growth turned off, I've still got harvests and things coming up, which are proving difficult but doable. I've also got a couple of cultivating contracts to do. I'm doing my part. We're getting crops in. And before people say, oh, you don't do harvesting in winter, I watched Ollie Harrison harvesting corn a week ago with a regular header as well, not a corn header, which was curious. I've never seen that done before. And also the cultivating. There's a theory behind this. I've been doing a little bit of digging, a little bit of research. But anyway, this is what's left over. The previous contract, I think both of them should have popped up by now. You should have already seen them. The previous one, I can't remember how much I got. It was around 30,000 litres off that one. 32,000 litres left from the contract on this one. I've been having to harvest, the 2 harvest contracts I've done, I've had to wait for the snow to stop. And I've had some brief spells, I mean literally brief periods where there's been no snow, and I've got the harvest done, and then the snow started again. And as far as I can tell, it's going to snow and snow and snow now through till the end of time, pretty much. Are we going in? We are going in. Nice. I have put this little shelter in. This cost me $2,000. I've got some more boxes there. So I've been storing the firewood under here, so we're going to be delivering some of that. I've got a whole load of pumpkins to deliver. Like I said, we're doing our part for the community. We are cultivating relationships. I have taken the liberty of moving some more lumber. You can see this side's dwindling a little bit into here, so I can come over here and click on that every now and again. Just make sure this is nicely topped up and we're getting plenty of firewood. Ice cream, strawberry ice cream, I've moved I think 4 more boxes into our cold storage. I've also bought, I need to put some shelter over that. I mean, they're not too bad at the moment. It's cold, not wet, but when it thaws it will be. But I bought the mixer wagon and the telehandler into the storage building in here, and in here. So we've got some more ice cream. So yeah, we're doing all right. I've moved today's milk. I've moved today's. Look how deep the snow is. Today's strawberries have been done. What else have I got to do? Oh, I haven't done today's propane. I've got to do the propane delivery for the grain mill, so I'll do that. So the money will go up a little bit. And as far as cultivating goes, what I'm going to do, I've got some more pumpkin as well. Okay, I'm going to load that up, because I've got all this to drop off and deliver. So frozen pumpkin, ice cream, it's all good. Oh, more strawberry as well. Blimey, it's not hanging about today, is it? But what I'm going to do, we're going to sell our cultivator. Our cultivator is this one here, the Kirkling. I think it's 6 metre. I'm going to go for a case 9.8 metre, which is only 10 grand. This is worth 40 grand. I'm going to buy 2 cultivators, which will cost me 20 grand. But then I can have 2 running at a time. Now, I don't know if that's going to have enough oomph to pull one, but that should have, potentially. And like I said, I've got 2 cultivating jobs to do. Now, the theory behind this being, are we done with that? I think we're done with that. So I'm going to take the cultivator back to the store. While I'm up there, the pickup's already up there, and so's the tank. I just didn't get around to do it. I was bringing the harvest back. The snow started again, so I thought, you know what, I don't mind this actually. It's kind of, it's that thing of, in certain parts of the world, and the amount of people that have messaged me and said, oh, you wait till you do Alma, Missouri, if you thought the snow on Edgewater was mad, it's absolutely bonkers on here. Well, I'm going to need some fuel actually, probably need a little bit of TLC as well. Did I miss that completely? There we go. So I'll take that back. But anyway, yes, as far as cultivating goes in winter, again, people would argue you don't do it in winter because the ground's frozen. Again, I've watched a couple of YouTubers this week doing it for the reason that leading up to now, after harvest and during harvest, the ground was so wet, there was so much rain, the fields were boggy. And again, watching Ollie Blogs, Ollie Harrison, he put a clip up of one of his neighbours who's a potato farmer. They had their potato harvester and it was bogged down in the mud, so they had a fence in front of that towing it, with another fence in front of that fence towing both. So 2 fence and the potato harvester. And I thought, oh, they're just getting it out. No, they were harvesting like that, because it was so wet, so boggy, they had to get the potatoes off the field, and they carried on going, and they got it off. So when it comes to then cultivating after you're harvesting, the ground's so wet, it's so boggy, everything's getting stuck, it's getting clogged up, it's not working. So what they're doing, they're waiting for the ground to freeze. Even if there's a bit of snow, a lot of frost, you might have 2, 3, 4 inches of like kind of permafrost sort of, and the ground is dry. So whilst it is solid and it's difficult to work, but it is dry, which means they can get on the field, and what they're doing is they're cultivating it, they're ripping down through the permafrost, turning it all over. So even with the frost and where they've had water sitting on the fields in ruts and stuff like that, that's all now frozen. And where the snow's falling on it, rather than the ground staying compacted, and when the snow melts, that just runs straight off, because the ground's compacted. Some of it will absorb, but not a huge amount, and a lot of that snow just runs off into all of the gullies, the ditches, the culverts, you know, anywhere you've got drainage, and can become a problem. So by cultivating at this time of year, when the ground's frozen, you turn it all over, you've got frost, you've got some water, you might have snow. When the snow melts, a large proportion of that snow goes into the ground. So you get that moisture back into the ground, ready for spring when it starts to warm up again, and the ground's already moist. You will still get some runoff, but not as much as if you hadn't done anything to it. So like I say, there is some merit to doing it at this time of year. Most people will wait to spring, of course, especially if it's dry, but it depends on where you are. It depends on what the forecast is like. So I think a lot of farmers as well, with the way the weather's been, especially here in the UK, and I assume all around the world, because weather patterns and the weather is changing, or has changed dramatically. I meant to come up here again, didn't I? I think some farmers are having to really reconsider how they farm. How, you know, the practices they've been doing for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even longer, more years than that, if their you know, parents and grandparents have been working the land. And that's absolutely, you know, of course that's what's been done, but then with the weather changing, farmers are having to adjust what they do to fit the weather profile, to get the best they possibly can. It may not be brilliant, and it may not be as good as they've had in previous years, but it's the best they can achieve, I think is kind of the way around it. So we are going to sell that for 44,877. Fantastic. I'm now going to get, if we come to here and we go to, I'm going to go to disc arrows. Now cultivators, I was looking at some options, and what was I looking at? I did look at that for 100 grand. The Rossor, that one there, the Rossor mash, which is 12.2 meters for 101. And then I don't know if I already had this installed. I must have done, because it was just kind of here. Where are we? That one there on the end, the case 490, 10 grand, 9.8 meters. Going to leave it standard design. Detacher type. Do I want trailer, or do I want 3-point? I'm going to go trailer, I think. Maybe a bad call, but anyway. So I'm going to buy 2 of those, which gives me just under 20 meters worth of cultivating space, or operating width, should I say. And I've only used half of the money I made back from the previous cultivator. So again, no-brainer really. And we are getting more gear for the farm. So what I will do, I think it's 2 of the fields, the 2 fields that I harvested, field 17 and field 30. We've got cultivating jobs on, and I'll get all the money for them. There we go. Yeah, field 17, field 30. Field 17 is way up north. Field 30 is the field that I did the potato harvest on. So I could start there, I guess. But what I will do before I go down there, and then I'll get the other John Deere, and we'll get a worker running, because we've got enough money now. We're building up ahead of money, and we need that because in spring, well, I could do it now, I suppose, but in spring, when the snow thaws, we're going to what we're going to do? Oh yeah, carrots and potatoes and whatever factory we're going to put in. Because I was worried we wouldn't get to a point we had enough money to get the lights on. There we go. We wouldn't have enough money to put a factory in. But actually, I think the winter, whilst the weather is harsh, it's going to be good to us. It's going to be kind to us. We're going to do all right out of it. We're going to bring out the firewood up here. Like I said, we're doing our part for the community. The snow is deep. So anyway, I'll see you out of the field. We'll get some cultivating done. I've got a lot to do. The field I just harvested was field 10, so I'm hoping cultivating comes up on that field as well, because that was a fair sized field. And if I can get sort of 20-30 grand for each one, let's get some of this in. Then it's well worth doing. Down there we go. Got to keep working. I'm bringing the pickup back up. I've got all the pumpkin on that I've got, and I've put 2 of the firewood on, so at least we can get some put in for people to come and collect by when they need to. We need to go around behind for the pumpkin, then we'll do that, then we'll go and grab the cultivator and we'll start cultivating snow. There we go. Pumpkin going in. I'm kind of curious to see what we're going to get for the firewood. I haven't checked the prices at all. I just assumed this time of year the price would go up at winter for firewood. You know, you just kind of... I know it's an assumption, but I should really have checked that. I'm going to sell it anyway, regardless what the price is. And I've had people message me before saying, why don't you ever check them? 9 times out of 10, whatever it is I'm going to sell, I'm selling it. Regardless. I don't tend to keep hold of stuff. That being said, our wheat from our very first harvest and the sorghum we've just got from the 2 contracts we did, that is in storage. We've got that in the silo at the moment. So we drop it off here and then people come here to purchase. He says, oh, do we have a... Oh no, there we go. What are we going to get? What are we going to get for 2? Bearing in mind we've got another... How many have we got? 10? That'll do. 9,721 for 2 boxes. Was it worth doing it? Was it worth doing the login? Was it? Absolutely. That's fantastic. So we can make a bit of money, but we're doing our thing. Like I said, I know I keep saying we're doing our bit for the community, but you know, it's winter. That's the whole point. It's why most farmers do what they do. Again, we've had this conversation. I've talked to you about it, where people say, well, if farming's that bad, why do you do it? Not me personally, but farmers. And farmers say because it's either what we've always done, generation after generation, but who else is going to feed a nation? Who else is going to feed everybody? most farmers come out of the year not having earned a huge amount of money, but what they are doing is providing for people, for their communities. They're sustaining the people around them, communities, and and I know when Clarkson did the series 1 of his thing, he said it's like anything, we're so not obsessed, but everything's all about profit. It's about making as much money as possible because of the lifestyle and because of advertising, because of the way since the 1950s, I suppose, when advertising really started pushing for things, it became a very, very big industry. That material gain, that owning things became important. It became this thing of we must have things, we must collect things, and I'm terrible for it. I'm a collector of things, and wealth is important. But realistically, when you stop and you think about it, at the end of the day, at the end of a year, at the end of a month, whenever it might be, if you've got food on the table, if you can look after your family, if you've got a roof over your heads, if you're clothed, and fed, and and you can cover your bills, not everyone can, and that's the thing. It's difficult. Do you need to have thousands and thousands of pounds in the bank? No. And to be fair, a lot of the things we consider to be important that we need to make sure every year we have, or every month we have, a lot of it we don't. Myself and MrSealyp have said this before. With the interest rates going up and everything, price of things, going up and up and up. If we need to cut back at any point, what do we cut back on? We said, well, there are so many things. All the various different TV channels that we pay for, we've got Netflix, and you have Amazon, and you have all, so many of them. You can just say, well, I don't need that. When you really think about it, do you need that? No. I would even say, my job obviously now is completely hinged on it, but the internet, we wouldn't necessarily need the internet. Is that something you need to survive? Is that something you need to live? No, of course not. It's nice to have it, and we're so used to it, and everyone relies on it, but I'm at the right field, aren't I? I should be at field 30. Yeah, it's a big field, it's going to take a while. Yeah, so field 17 is the other one, and then field 10 we just harvested. I say just harvested, a little while ago we harvested. So that should, at some point, come up as a contract. This is going to be weird. I mean, it should work. There we go. And what I'll do, I can get to a point where I've gone round probably 2 or 3 times around the outside, and then I can set a worker off here. Then I'll go, actually I'm going way too far over, I don't need to go all over there. Then I can grab the other tractor and the other cultivator and get going on one of the other fields. So we can really crack on with this. I don't mean to be preachy. I know, for a lot of people, it is that kind of, my granddad always used to say, it was a hand-to-mouth existence. You got paid, you bought your food, you bought the things you needed. When I worked at the school, the local school, I only just about earned enough. I covered the bills, the bills, my portion of the bills, my half of the bills. Myself and MrSealyp have always been a partnership. And for a long time she's earned a lot more than me. So the bills aren't split 50-50. They're split based upon, kind of what we can afford to, what we've got, and it is that thing of, for a long time, you just had enough money, just enough money. And when our kids were little, before my wife had kind of worked her way up in the company, and she's been there a long time now, I was a postman. We would often, I know people would be like, shock horror, and I'm probably not the only person that's ever done this. We used to go shopping weekly with a calculator because we only had a certain amount of money in our budget for our food shopping. So you would go around and we would be working out, we would be totting up our shopping as we went round the shop. And we made sure we had all the essentials. We made sure the kids were fed, the kids were clothed, they had their school clothes, they had, the things that were important. And then, if there was anything left over, we might get some luxury items. You might put some extra bits and bobs into the shopping, which we didn't do every week. You might do once a month. Treat yourselves to something, or occasionally, and at the time, once a month we'd get a takeaway. We might get a Chinese takeaway once a month. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? So I've gone way off from, you know, the whole farming thing, haven't I? But, you know, it's that time of year, I suppose, where it's all about excess, isn't it? It's all about, you know, I'm not saying it's not all about excess. It becomes about excess, doesn't it? And I think the last couple of years we've been trying to pare it right back, you know. It's one of those, you know, you can get these little plaques, the little cards, and one of my twins, we did our Christmas decorations on Sunday, and it was lovely because all my kids are older now, they're all in their 20s, and I've said this before, my son's moved out, my oldest has moved out, and normally when we get around to doing the decorations, my kids, they're all busy, they're all off doing stuff, you know, they're out with their friends, it's a weekend, they do whatever. This year, they're like, no, we'll be there, you know. My son said, oh, I'll pop over, you know, I'm not working Sunday, I'll come over. Silage, she wasn't working Sunday, so she'll be there anyway. They'd all gone out for breakfast, did a bit of shopping. They said they'd be back around sort of 1ish, 2ish, and we'd get on the decorations. My eldest arrived with them, so all of my kids were in the house with myself and MrSealyp, and we did the decorations together. I mean, we haven't done that in years, and that was amazing. So one of my twins said, and like I say, it's you know, it's on posters, it's on these things, but she said it's not about the gifts under the tree, it's about the people around it. And I think that's something we've tried very hard over the last few years. When we spend Christmas with my brother and his family, it's about the people you're with, not necessarily the gifts. You know, you can buy the perfect gift for someone that's not expensive. If you know the person, you get it just right, you can get something that person will absolutely love. It doesn't have to be expensive, you know. I've always said that to MrSealyp. Every year she would go mad with the kids, you know, let's buy this, let's buy that, and she would always try and make sure it was fair for everybody. And if she overspent on one, it would, oh, I need to buy a little bit more for this one because I spent a little bit more on that one. I said, look, they won't know, they weren't at an age where they would sit down and work out what things cost. They wouldn't be coming to you and saying, well, they had £10 more than me, you know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just, it's all these things that are on my mind. The snow's falling here on the map. We're racing towards Christmas. I can't believe, I honestly don't know where the year's gone. We sat down the other day and said about, and I said on here about watching Christmas movies, and it only seems like 5 minutes ago we were watching them. Every single one we mentioned, the kids were, oh, but we've seen that. Well, yeah, we've seen all of them. You know, unless a new Christmas film comes out, all of them we've seen. Oh, yeah, but it was only last year. Crazy. Anyway, I'll get the rest of the outside of this done. We are starting to lose the light, but it is working. We are doing what we need to do. And then what I'll do is I'll get the other tractor, we'll get up onto field 17 and I'll get cracking on that. This was just another one of those, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I was going to skip ahead. I thought, let's just bounce right the way through until the snow stops. But no, this is what's happening. This is what I'm doing. I didn't want to get through to, I don't know, February or March when the snow stops, having done a whole load of contracts off screen and people saying, well, hang on, how are you doing that? What, in the snow? Why would you do that in the snow? So I just thought, you know, well, we'll do it. I am overlapping a little bit here and there, but I just want to make sure I get as much of it as I can. So, yeah. That wasn't a rant, was it? It was just a chat. It's 4:45. I thought, you know what, I'm going to bring the rest of the firewood up because the price was so good. I'll bring that up. I have got a worker now working on field 30. I'm going to say that I don't know if it's just me. Since the last update, if you remember when the game first came out, if we go back that far, why are we not? So we're right on the back before. I'm going to have to rethink this. I'm going to go from the other side, or go forwards in and then out the other side. If you recall, I don't know if you recall, that the worker fees were going really, I mean, like costing a fortune. To hire a worker was ridiculous. And I think after the first update, after FS22 came out, Giants adjusted it and said, you know, the worker rates, it was too high. It was, you know, I don't know if it's gone backwards again, you know, because I've found hiring workers recently has been really, really expensive. We kind of went through a period where it wasn't, and I don't know if the last update has caused that or whether it's been like it for a while. I only have really noticed it recently. I'm Just thinking, have I got the fencing in the wrong place here? Got to stop crashing into things, I keep doing that. Let's get a better angle on that. There we go, let's try that again. There we go. That's better. You're doing the right thing. Better. Now it's all going. Brilliant stuff. I thought the lights might have come on actually here. Mind you, I suppose isn't it? It's done on time, isn't it? Not how dark it is. It's only 3:45. Good stuff. Right, that's all that done. Yes, I don't know. What do people think? Have people been finding the same thing? Are we finding worker fees seem to have gone up again, or? Yeah, I don't know. I could just be imagining it, I don't know. Right, off to field 17. Engine off. I do keep checking because sometimes these things will appear over the course of the day. Sometimes it's at midnight, sometimes it's sort of first thing in the morning. I'm hoping we're going to have enough oomph on this. It is an old tractor, but it's got a bit of spirit to it. I'm still considering buying another tractor or a new tractor. Like I say, I was thinking of getting rid of this. I'm possibly thinking of getting rid of the case and going for something with a bit higher horsepower. I don't know. But I'll see about field 17. I'll get cracking on that. And yeah, like I say, this is going to be the last one I did on Court Farms was a bit shorter, and this will be the same. It was just to show you what I'm doing. I mean, I could get all this done. We could jump ahead and see what else is. But I just want to do this. We'll do a bit of cultivating snow, cultivating relationships, delivering firewood, and as I said, just to show you what we're up to. With the snow falling, and it's set to just carry on, and I'm assuming my cornfield is going to be ready to harvest probably as we go into January. But if it's continuing to snow, I don't think I've ever harvested corn in heavy snow. I was going to do half of it harvest and half of it silage harvest, which will be an interesting one, but it's just the fact that, again, because it's heavy snow and the time of year, it's quite dark for a lot of the day. I'd rather do it in lovely sunshine, but obviously because of the nature of how I'm doing it, it is what it is. And it's weird, again, if we go back to FS19, before we had, you had the Seasons mod from Realismus modding, but Seasons wasn't a thing. So your crops would grow, you'd put them in the ground, they'd grow whenever, if you weren't running the Seasons mod. And you could find yourself harvesting like this in the winter, in the snow, but also your crops grew way quicker as well. So it's interesting how much it's changed since then. Heading out towards Blackburn. Field 17 coming up on the left. This is This is a long field. Then we'll go around the other way on this one. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah. I have to say, this John Deere seems to be pulling this better than the other John Deere. That off. And let's crack on! I'm curious to see as we go through into January and then into February, if it does continue to snow, just how deep the snow's going to get. But we have got our products that are still... Oh, that's the point. We're going to put our ice cream on the train, aren't we, at some point? We'll wait till we've got a bit more of it. We'll bring that up and we'll load it up onto the train. And we'll send that on its way as well. But we're making money. You know, like I said, we seem to go quite a while and we weren't really making much money, doing little bits here and there. And to be fair, some of that, again, that was my fault because I'd knocked seasonal growth onto paused rather than on or off. So for probably a couple of months nothing was growing. So whereas a lot of these contracts I could have done before the winter hit, it is what it is. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.